Okay guys, I wanted to record a quick video just to run through an example myself of the quadratic formula. So the whole purpose of the quadratic formula is that sometimes you cannot factor a quadratic equation. And if that's the case, you can use the quadratic formula. So what you do, first of all, it always needs to be set equal to 0. So if it's not all on one side, you have to get it there. Then you're going to pull out a, b, and c. A is the number in front of x squared, which we already got is 2. B is the number in front of x, so we have negative 14, and then c is your constant, or the number by itself, which is negative 13. And then we have the quadratic formula, which I've written down here, and you just plug in what you are given. So I'm going to start with x equals, and then we have negative, and then you notice that we have this negative here. Okay, you're going to keep that, but b is also negative, so you're going to have two negative signs, so make sure you pay attention to that. So we've got negative 14 plus or minus the square root of negative 14 squared, make sure you put in parentheses, minus 4 times a is 2 and c was negative 13. And that's all over 2 times a, which was 2. So we're going to continue simplifying that. Negative and a negative makes that positive 14 plus or minus. 14 squared is 196. And then when I'm doing this part, I just go straight across. Negative 4 times 2 is a negative 8. And negative 8 times 13 is a positive, let's see. Sorry, I needed to switch pens back. A positive, this is negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 times a negative 113 is positive 104. And that's all over positive 4. Then you're going to go ahead and continue. You want to simplify the square root part completely first. So if you add these together, 196 plus 104 is 300. And then that's all over 4. Okay, and then the whole reason that we did the simplifying radicals first is that you still need to go back and simplify this radical part. So we're going to simplify that. I'm going to get it over here. We have square root of 300. So you want something that has a square root and goes into that. And that's 100. So we'll do 100 times 3. So we get 10 square root 3. So you're going to replace the square root of 300 with 10 square root 3. Alright, I know this is a little messy. We have 10 square root 3. Alright, then the last thing you need to do is simplify it. If both the numbers on the outside of the radical on the top are divisible by the bottom, so if they're both divisible by the bottom number, or they'll all reduce by the same number. So if we look at all of these, and we can reduce all three of those, not what's under the radical, but all the other ones by the same thing, then we should do that. So I'm going to take this and divide all of these by 2 because 2 goes into all of them. You can only reduce it if all of them will reduce. So we reduce it and we get 7 plus or minus 5 square root 3 over 2. So the only other thing that you would do is if this second part did not have a square root, so if this square root wasn't there, you could go ahead and say 7 plus 5 and 7 minus 5 and divide them by 2 to get your actual answer separately. But since that's not the case here, you just leave it like this when you have a radical in your answer. And so your final answer is this whole thing. So I hope that helps a little bit.